Former President Donald Trump has landed in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. His plane touched down earlier this evening, just one day after a failed assassination attempt at his rally in Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining us here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. Here is the latest that we know. Law enforcement officials are working to learn more about the 20-year-old who tried to assassinate former President Trump. In a briefing today, the FBI said they have yet to determine what motivated the shooter. However, they do believe he acted alone. President Joe Biden addressed the nation for the third time today following the assassination attempt, again calling for unity and condemning the violence. Now, as Trump prepares to accept the Republican nomination for president, everyone is taking a closer look at security for the event. ABC's Jay O'Brien has the details.
My fellow Americans,
President Biden addressing the nation from the Oval Office just one day after a suspected gunman attempted to assassinate his rival, former President Donald Trump.
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We must stand together.
The president calling for unity.
But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of would-be assassins.
Biden speaking with the former president Saturday evening, just hours after a gunman opened fire at a Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. That suspect identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel, Pennsylvania. Sources tell ABC News that a short time before the former president took to the podium, local authorities were alerted to suspicious activity on the outside of the perimeter and were in the process of looking for a suspect.
I am aware that law enforcement had responded to a number of reports of suspicious activity.
Investigators are now trying to figure out how that gunman made it up onto the roof as Republicans get set to gather for this week's convention in Milwaukee. Former President Trump arriving, preparing to formally accept his party's nomination. The convention going ahead as planned, but security at the Fiserv Forum is tight.
We are confident in these security plans that are in place for this event, and we're ready to go.
In a post on social media, former President Trump said he considered pushing this convention back 2 days, but then said he didn't want to have a potential assassin force a change of his campaign schedule. Now, security is tight here in Milwaukee, but the Secret Service says there is no credible threat to this convention. In Milwaukee, Jay O'Brien, ABC News.
And we do know multiple states will be involved in helping provide security for the Republican National Convention. Both Kentucky State Police and LMPD confirmed to WHAS11 that they will be helping provide security. LMPD confirmed today that a contingent of 14 officers will head to the convention for support. Milwaukee Police is leading the security, and other agencies from the country will be there to assist. According to Captain Paul Blanton, KSP's assistance was requested several months ago. In total, 63 departments from 24 states and Washington, D.C., along with 44 Wisconsin agencies will be helping at the convention. The cost to bring all these departments in will be covered by a grant from the Department of Justice. Security will be tight, but in an update earlier today, security officials say there will be no changes to the plan. And we are continuing to learn more about the man who was killed at the rally by the shooter. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro called Corey Comperto a hero. He was a former fire chief from the area. Shapiro said his wife told him her husband was protecting his family when the gunfire started at the rally.
She also asked that I share with all of you that Corey died a hero. That Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Corey was the very best of us. May his memory be a blessing.
2 other people were hit by the gunfire at the rally as well. They were taken to the hospital in critical condition. Today, doctors say they are stable. All weekend, we've been hearing from leaders right here in Kentucky and getting their thoughts and reactions to what unfolded yesterday as shots rang out at a presidential rally aimed for the former president himself. Regardless of political party, those we spoke to all agree on one thing: the violence and division must come to an end. The first attempted assassination since Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981 has left Kentuckiana leaders on both sides of the aisle calling for an end to the violence. Chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, Don Fitzpatrick.
There should be no violence toward any of our presidential candidates, or frankly, any candidate at any level across the country.
And former Democratic Congressman Mike Ward.
Violence is never the answer.
In agreement after shots were fired at former President Donald Trump at a Pennsylvania rally. Secret Service up on the podium, shielding the former president in seconds.
I've been in many presidential and vice presidential motorcades. I know what it's like, and I know those folks are putting their lives on the line. They protected former President Trump. They didn't hesitate. And for that, we owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
The world watched as Trump stood with blood on his face and pumped his fist to the crowd of supporters.
If it was a bullet that was close enough to clip his ear, that would have meant that he probably had his head turned, and if his head turned a different way, it could have been a different outcome.
Former Secret Service agent Greg Gitcher has over 20 years of service. The shooter was confirmed to have fired shots from a nearby rooftop, something Gitcher said could have been a blind spot for the agents.
The Secret Service is going to go over this with a fine-tooth comb, magnifying glass, and figure out what happened and how did it happen, and who did something wrong, or maybe something was overlooked. I'm not saying Secret Service did anything wrong. I have no idea. But somehow that gun got in there and shot.
And from the Indiana-Ohio River waterfront, Republican Jeffersonville Mayor Mike Moore is hoping for change on what the U.S. has seen unfold as a political battleground.
Well, I think it's a wake-up call. There's just so much hate out there. What happened to being able to disagree with somebody and still being respectful? It's like people have taken it to a different level.
Trump's assassination attempt is drawing parallels to the last time a president or presidential candidate was wounded by an assailant. Ronald Reagan was nearly killed when he was shot back in 1981. He survived thanks to the skill of doctors and nurses at a D.C. hospital and the quick actions of Secret Service. Former Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy was shot during the attempted assassination of Reagan and was watching as Trump's rally unfolded in Pennsylvania.
Well, I will tell you that the Reagan assassination attempt, that was not a victory. That was a failure, because if a protectee of the Secret Service is injured, it's not a victory. It's a failure. So this is a failure, and now we're going to have to look at what happened and what can be corrected so it doesn't happen again.
How the aftermath of the shooting in Pennsylvania fares for Trump has yet to be seen, but for Reagan in 1981, it helped skyrocket his popularity. But as many political experts note, the political climate is far different from what it was over 40 years ago. And while the political climate is different, regardless of political party, people are speaking out against the violence we watched unfold yesterday. WHAS11's Jim Stratman and photojournalist Aspen Hester spoke with Louisville residents today, getting your reaction to the attempted assassination.
Take a look at what happened.
Those seconds sending shockwaves around the country. Not since Ronald Reagan has there been an attempt on the life of a sitting or former president. That reality still setting in for some here in Louisville.
I was incredibly sad about it.
It was really a very strange moment.
Now, nearly a day later, the reflections on last night are coming in.
I don't think it's great for the country. I don't think anyone's waking up today and thinking things are better than yesterday.
One of the big themes that we discovered in talking with people was a need to tone down the rhetoric. Just about everybody we spoke to said they'd like to see people get back to speaking cordially with each other and showing some compassion.
And that would just be my thing, is that, compassion for each other more than anything, and compassion for, the former president,
We all want good for everybody. I think fundamentally, we all just want to live and be happy and be good, right? And regardless of the color of your t-shirt.
Some people we spoke to said turning down the rhetoric and being more aware could help that.
I think we just need to get back to, we are Americans, we love our country, and we either want it to be, you vote what those policies are.
We can't put out things that say, take him out, those... I'd rather have somebody say a prayer for that person.
It's a show of, the worst sides of what talk can be, because there's talk and then there's action, and clearly someone let the talk get to them.
Reporting in Louisville, Jim Stratman, WHAS11, on your side.
We will keep you up to date with the very latest as we continue to learn more about the victims and investigation into the shooter. To stay up to date on the latest, you can download our WHAS11 app or head to our website, WHAS11.com. Well, switching over to weather, it was a hot day today and it's supposed to be even hotter tomorrow, but the good news is relief is in sight. Meteorologist Matt Rudkin is joining us now. Matt, when are we expecting to see some relief from the 90-degree days we've been feeling so far?
Yeah, it's been hot, hasn't it, Alex? Well, we've got like 2 days to go, so we've got a little time to go until we get there. However, looking pretty good out there on our weather camera downtown. It is still 86 degrees. It is hot, it is muggy, and that number is going to continue to go up here over the next 2 days before we start to cool down a little bit. Max HD radar sweeping all clear, so good to see that. But I will zoom out a little bit here and show you there are some storms to our north and west. They're way up by Chicago, so not our problem. For us, though, we're pretty quiet over the next couple of days, but the story here is heat. As a matter of fact, we'll be well into the mid-90s tomorrow. It'll be muggy. We're going to talk more about that. We'll talk about another hot day on Tuesday, but then we get to enjoy some relief as we head towards midweek, but it may come with some thunderstorms as well. I'll have all of that coming up in your forecast in about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. Developing here tonight, LMPD is investigating a deadly shooting in the Portland neighborhood. Police say they responded to the shooting at 28th and Market just after 3:30 today. When officers arrived, they found a man had been fatally shot. Right now, there are no known suspects, and anyone with information is encouraged to call the anonymous tip line. That number, of course, is 574-LMPD. Also tonight, an LMPD detective was arrested early this morning. According to police, Kyle Carroll was arrested for driving under the influence. Police say they responded to a crash on Frankfort Avenue near Jane Street. Carroll, who was off duty at the time, had allegedly crashed into a parked car. Police say they questioned Carroll and officers detected alcohol on his breath. Carroll was taken into custody after a field sobriety test was performed. According to his arrest citation, Carroll blew a .13, which is nearly twice the legal limit. An LMPD spokesperson says Carroll has been placed on administrative leave as the investigation continues.